Desde Monterrey, Nuevo León.
It's only episode 2, but I can be honest with you, right? I didn't used to like coming to Monterrey. Sure, it's beautiful here. The famous mountains and hills provide a permanent photo backdrop when the clouds clear. But I'm from Texas. If I want to shop at H-E-B and walk along a riverwalk, we've got San Antonio at home. That closeness to San Antonio to Houston to Texas to the U.S. is a huge part of the Regio-Montaña culture, which makes sense. It's 140 miles from here to the border, more than 550 miles to Mexico City. Monterrey is still proud to be Mexican, but get past the U.S. influences and you see it trying to find its own thing, its own lane, proving it's Mexican in its own way. This is a business city. If the culture pokes through, you taste it in the cabrito, hear it in the cumbia. It's definitely a football city too. One former Mexico manager, Juan Carlos Osorio, compared to places like Rosario, Manchester, places that live and breathe the sport precisely because it gives them access to bragging rights that it doesn't have as a capital or a cultural hotspot. Monterrey's business interests have made sure the two clubs here, Tigres and Rayados, are big spenders, both on the men's side and the women's side, as they push against that established hierarchy of teams in Mexico City and Guadalajara. And it turns out there's plenty of cultural pockets here too that may even win me over yet. You ready to explore more of Monterrey? Pues ya están invitados a la carne asada. This is Monterrey. This is Monterrey. This is Tigres. This is Rayados.
This is Monterrey.
And this is a football city. While the World Cup is clearly coming to this city, it's not coming to this stadium. And in fact, Tigres have been trying to find a new home. There are plans for a new stadium that could host things like World Cup matches or NFL games. The governor of Nuevo León is a big Tigres fan and has tried to push this project forward. But for now, Tigres is still in El Volcán, a place where you can feel the history, where, yes, there are some modern accommodations missing. But overall, when you're here at a game, when you hear the crowd, the Libres y Locos doing their cheers, you understand that the phrase, "This is Tigres," has more meaning than simply one phrase. That feeling is important, but one thing you have to understand is that Monterrey being so far from central Mexico has led to it being dismissed by large portions of the country's sports media outlets, which are overwhelmingly based in Mexico City. Neither Nuevo León team is a grande, one of the league's 4 historically strongest and best supported teams. That's the constant subject of insults and taunts hurled at the Monterrey teams from elsewhere in the country. They push back, but they've also created their own media ecosystem here, something pioneered ironically enough by someone born outside of Monterrey, Roberto Hernandez Jr., a radio broadcaster who eventually went into television as well. Don Robert, as he's known, encouraged fans to use their soccer teams as a source of local pride. While he's most closely linked with Tigres, his crying on the broadcast of one of their title wins being one of his most iconic moments, he pushed the rivalry between both teams. This is a football city, but it didn't happen by accident. Sometimes it took a controversial broadcaster to stir the pot and help usurp the popular Sultanes baseball team. But as local reporter Ventura Andres told me, Don Robert certainly won over plenty of fans.
Roberto Hernandez Jr. is the best, like a sports reporter, anchor, even producer, like always. He make always, like old school. When you come to the Volcán, you come with your Walkman. You remember the Walkman? And yeah, the radio. And every 3,000 people in the stadium put their Walkman and listen to Roberto Hernandez Jr. So it's antes and después, before and after, that expression. So for me, Don Robert is the best.
Don Robert became known in this city thanks to his work at Canal 6, now part of Multimedios, a media giant in the north that still exists today, and so do many other outlets specifically dedicated to covering Tigres and or Rayados that carry on that spirit of civic pride along with their coverage.
It's a kind of a bubble, you know that is in the Mexico or Guadalajara has another kind of or media, but here Tigres and Rayados with their own media is too passionate. I'm in a press conference with Angel Correa, world champion, and he see all the media, too many. You mentioned 1 or 2, but I think that the biggest difference is the passion, even in the media.
And it's not like those passionate reporters haven't had titles to cover and passionate fans had trophies to celebrate. Tigres won 2 league titles before 2010, but owner Cemex helped Tigres become the team of the decade with 5 title wins between 2011 and 2020, plus a first international trophy win with the CONCACAF Champions Cup triumph in 2020. That coincided with the arrival of André Pierre Gignac, the French forward, who may be the best foreign player ever signed by a Mexican team. Although we can get into that debate in the Toluca episode. But it wasn't just Gignac, goalkeeper Nahuel Guzman, winger Ener Valencia, defender Hugo Ayala, defender Jorge Torres Nilo, Javier Aquino, and Guido Pizarro, who moved from the midfield to the managerial box last year, are among other players who were part of the golden era that Tigres are now trying to extend. Across town there have been titles as well, plus big name arrivals like Sergio Ramos, Anthony Martial, and Sergio Canales. Rayados owner, beverage and convenience store giant FEMSA helped the club build rosters that won 5 CONCACAF trophies between 2009 and 2021. They had 3 league championships during that stretch as well. And it was also during that time period that they left their own version of the Volcán, the Tech, a tight stadium on a college campus, for the Estadio BBVA. You've seen pictures of this venue, with the Cerro de la Silla poking through. It is, for my money, Mexico's nicest and most modern stadium, one that puts VIPs closer to the field than almost any venue in the world. It is this stadium that will go into the history books by hosting 4 World Cup matches and 2 qualification playoff games before that in March, we hope. Though again, note the cultural difference from Mexico City and Guadalajara, as Mexico's national team is not making the long trip north to play at this stadium during the World Cup. While Rayados Stadium clearly is newer and there are some barbs about one team being the rich team or the other in this rivalry, the lines between Tigres and Monterrey are not as clearly defined as they are in many rivalries around the world. There are fans of both teams on all different class lines, all over different neighborhoods in town. I've even heard stories of people picking the team just to make their dad or an uncle or mom mad.
You put a shirt from the rival. When Tigres is on the final of La Copa Libertadores, all the people from Rayados puts a River Plate shirt. And this is the opposite from Tigres. Borussia Dortmund, Inter de Milan in the past Mundial de Clubes. And I kind of weird to explain that because it's just feel it, you know? It's just, you need to feel it.
You can get to both stadiums in Monterrey easily with the metro. You can take it one direction to get to Estadio BBVA for your World Cup match. You can take it the other direction to get to Tigres if you're able to see a game up north at the university campus. So for the Rayados Stadium, you'll need to be on Línea 1, Línea 1. Exposición is what you're looking for. Then it's about a 15 to 20 minute walk to the stadium. It may sound like a lot, but of course during the World Cup, you're gonna have the security perimeter set up, people guiding you through, and a heck of a lot of traffic. So if you want a little bit of a local, maybe traveler's tip, the metro is usually not that crowded compared to Mexico City. Comfortable, safe, affordable, and a good option to get to the stadium. But not a good option to get from the airport to the city, which is a considerable distance, despite plans to have things ready for the World Cup. When I visited in February, the metro connection to the airport didn't seem anywhere near ready. Here's how I will get into the city. Ubers aren't supposed to pick you up when you get to the Monterrey airport, although it seems like some drivers are willing to take the risk. You can hop in a normal taxi. You can also take a bus to the center of the city, to the bus station. From there, you can hop on the metro. You can walk to your destination if you're staying in the center. You can get anywhere with a much cheaper Uber. So that's an option, but there's a bit of a trick to finding the ticket and figuring out which bus you're supposed to get onto the city. I'll show you how to do it. To ride the Noreste bus, you need a ticket that you buy from a stand beforehand. You gotta go back in to the domestic departures and find the stand that says bus. From there, you're gonna pay only 150 pesos to get to the center of the city. But I know how some of y'all are. I can already hear you. Metro, bus station, John, this is not how I travel. And that's fine. I've got a place for you as well. I think most visitors coming to Monterrey for the World Cup are either gonna end up in the center or in San Pedro Garza Garcia. It's not just the passionate fan bases of Tigres and Rayados that draw foreign players and Mexican players to come to play in the north. This is San Pedro Garza Garcia. Cross the tunnel from Monterrey, and you're in a suburb that's full of gated communities, American and other international brands, great coffee shops, top restaurants, bars, and other things that players from both teams enjoy. But you don't have to be on a player's salary to come to San Pedro Garza Garcia. And in fact, Many of the hotels that folks will use during the World Cup are located here, walking distance from some of those restaurants, coffee shops, bars, and other attractions. It's a place where players can feel comfortable, that their families feel good, and where it won't stand out if they're driving a luxury sports car. Whether you're in a Lambo or taking the bus, there's plenty of spots to eat around here. Let's go grab a bite. It's 8:30 in the morning, but this butcher shop has already been open for 2 hours. You might be saying, John, why are you showing me a butcher shop? We have those in my city too. And that's probably true, but few cities care about their carnicerias like Monterrey. Carne Ramos has many locations around town. One of the most notable, when there's a soccer match during the holidays, newspapers and TV stations will print the hours of the carnicerias. People will head to their favorite, whether it's a big brand like Ramos or someone in their neighborhood, and then they'll put together a carne asada. Regios love to get together and have a carne asada, and usually soccer is on the screen. If you don't get invited to the carne asada, don't worry, there's still options to try the excellent meat in this city. What would you eat for your last meal? You could do worse than tacos el compadre, and that might seem a bit macabre, but it's difficult not to think about death when you're here. After all, it's right next to the city's cemetery, earning it a nickname, Tacos del Muerto. The first time I came to Tacos del Muerto, it was this stand, this menu on the wall, and tacos doraditos. Things have changed. Now there's even a menu in English, and I think they're on the Michelin guide. But they've earned that recognition because they keep doing what they're best at. While you can get the tacos on a flour or corn tortilla, I recommend putting it in corn and asking for them bien doraditos, very crispy. This is a breakfast and lunch spot. They close around 2 or 3, so you're gonna have to get here early. A lot of people eat this for breakfast. I'm enjoying it for lunch, but I definitely recommend you take the time to make a spot at Tacos del Muerto, Christian name, Tacos Compadre. As you can see, I've asked for the tacos doraditos, very crispy. The waiters will come bring you the taco, and then they ask if you want onion, if you want lime, what kind of salsa you're looking for, although they already have the red and the green on the table. After that, it's really up to you to pick how you want to enjoy your tacos el muerto. More of a night owl, tacos primo taste just like your cousin made them, if your cousin's been manning one of the city's most famous spots for steak tacos since the mid-80s. After you grab your tacos, you can choose from weird seating options like this office cubicle, but it's all redeemed by this free salsa bar where you can get all the sauces and limes that you need. The tacos de bistec were not out of the world for me, but I tried a bacon taco and it was a total revelation. Why have we put bacon into this breakfast taco box? After heading to Tacos Primo, I won't be making the same mistake again. Another iconic street food option is Tortas La Purísima. Named for the cathedral sitting just around the corner, this is a simple but divine mix of lunch meat, cheese, and vegetables, including more avocado than you could possibly know what to do with. The faithful show their devotion by returning often to La Purísima, and the cross streets of its intersection turn into an impromptu drive-through of Regios, making a pilgrimage to get a sandwich with fluffy bread that will keep them full well past dinner time. If you want something a little more complicated, you can also do a torta de milanesa here. I also tried this basic Siberia-style tostada, which is another iconic Monterrey dish. It wasn't really for me, but maybe that's because I didn't go with cabrito, the roasted goat famous in Nuevo León. And while I had every intention of getting a big steak at Cara de Vaca, which is listed on Latin America's 50 best restaurants, I ended up totally full after being convinced to try a few stunningly good tacos by the bartenders. Chef Chuy Villarreal refused to be deterred by a fire that damaged his previous location in San Pedro Garza Garcia. He's now in a temporary home. Next time I visit, whether it's a temporary location or the permanent, I'm gonna get that steak. I'm also gonna grab a caguama back in the Barrio Antiguo at a classic spot that's only a 15-minute drive from Cara de Vaca, but a place that can feel a world away from San Pedro Garza Garcia. But if you're fancy or you're frugal, everyone can find a place at Cafe Iguana. Literally, this labyrinthine bar has a huge space and all sorts of nooks and crannies where people can do, well, whatever, man, that's none of my business. Iguana is also home to multiple stages with live music every night. A lot of times it's hard rock or metal, but they also host touring groups of all genres, and the rooftop has cool views of the city center and a DJ if you want something a bit easier to dance to. Most people are sipping the aforementioned caguamas, a liter of beer they hand to you in a bag, and everyone's just enjoying their time. Stumble out after a couple, there's a pizza by the slice stand as you exit and duck into your Uber home, or you try and figure out which way the metro station is. Honestly, I didn't know if the iguana was going to feature in football cities, but when I popped back in, I remembered the magic of the place. There's other good dives in Monterrey, but this one's my favorite. If you can't have a good night here singing along with the cover band as people have done since 1991, or dancing with electro beats, I just don't know if there's any hope for you. If you're fussier about your beer, which I sometimes am, there's Almacén 42, named because they have 42 taps of craft beer options. Unsurprisingly, it's quieter than the Iguana. They were hosting jazz night when I visited, also a good place to just grab a snack. They serve Meta brews at Almacén 42, but Meta Patio is the brewery's home base. There's also a record store upstairs, but this is where you can get their craft beer on tap, plus tacos and dancing. There was a DJ that was absolutely cooking the night that I visited. Overall, another fun spot in the center if you just want to chill, catch up with a friend, or bust a move. And there's a good cocktail scene emerging in Monterrey. I didn't have time to pop into all the spots this trip, but the crew at Como Comí, a media outlet that has recommendations for food and drink all over Mexico, but is particularly strong in Monterrey, they put together a list of their best in the city that totally holds up. Check out their page if that's what you're after. Now, let's go for a walk in the park. Or maybe we should take a walk along the river. A river walk. A river walk. There's an idea. So unique, so different from anything we've ever seen before. So natural, so legit.
While I'm joking about not being blown away by the river walk, the Parque Fundidora itself is a real credit to Monterrey. One of the smartest things they've done as a city, taking this land that was a foundry, that was part of the city's history, and turning it into public land. Like in so many cities, a huge public park that really brings the community together. You can come out here for a walk, a jog, people are rollerblading, you can go along the river. Also, they conduct concerts here, the Mexican Baseball Hall of Fame, all with easy access, a massive, massive park, so don't forget where you came in so you can go out. But overall, the Parque Fundidora is a real credit to this city and a lovely place to spend some time, especially to get away from some of the hecticness, the hustle and bustle of the city. If the walk through the Parque Fundidora isn't enough for you, you can also climb almost any of the hills that surround Monterrey. You can even climb the Cerro de la Silla, one of the most popular trails. It's called the Antenna Trail. It takes you up where they've installed the antennas there. They still need to use that road for maintenance, but be warned, it's a long hike, not entirely difficult, but I'm sticking in the parque, at least on this trip. And when I come back for the World Cup and the temperatures are likely in the 80s and 90s Fahrenheit, I'll probably skip that hike as well. But it is an option, especially if you're a hiking aficionado and if you're in good shape, able to do this hike. You can get some great views of Monterrey. Alternatively, you can climb to the Mirador, where the biggest Mexican flag in Mexico is. So you can just hike up that hill. It's a much easier trip, still not totally simple and straightforward. You're gonna get some elevation, of course, going to a hill that high, but still great views of the city, as long as it's not too cloudy.
This is Jonathan Sanchez and Carlos de la Garza. Together they make up Cumbia con Loop. You remember them from the intro, I'm sure. We've been talking a lot about the business side of Monterrey, the fine dining, the nights out, but there are other cultural landmarks in Monterrey that deserve your attention, and one of them is undoubtedly cumbia. There's been a cumbia boom in recent years, but Jonathan told me that cumbia isn't something you listen to now and then here, or something you do. In Monterrey, cumbia is a way of life.
Que pues lo agarramos como un estilo de vida del día a día, que ya no es como nomás una música que escuchas así como que empieza por, como que viene siendo como de moda, ¿verdad? Estas canciones o canciones que se evaporan, ritmos, estilos que llegan y se van. La cumbia llegó y se quedó, y la cumbia es un ritmo alegre que pues a todos nos hace que pues no nos agüitemos, ¿verdad? O sea, que por ejemplo yo vengo de pues, clase de trabajadora, o sea, mi familia, aquí lleva muchos años en Monterrey, pues principalmente en la Colonia Independencia por parte de mi papá, que ahí yo aprendí gracias a toda esa transformación que tuvo, y pues el barrio pues más sincero, creo yo, y honesto, en donde pues han salido muchísimas personas ahí talentosas, escritores, también futbolistas, y pues músicos. Y pues yo creo que eso es lo que a mí me forjó, lo que a mí me ayudó a que pues logre yo sacar estos sonidos con el acordeón, porque son experiencias vividas que uno ve ahí en la colonia.
Unlike other regions, Monterrey is known for its cumbia rebajada, slowed down music that has a number of origin stories. The most popular is that a sonidero, which is a DJ or someone with a big old sound system, had a turntable breakdown during a party, but people liked the way that music sounded better. Now that style is common, and Jonathan even does it with his accordion live using some technology. But well before the cumbia rebajada, the mix of European styles like polka and conjunto from Texas made a special blend of cumbia in Monterrey.
Cada quien tiene su historia de cómo nació la cumbia rebajada, pero aquí se identifica mucho en Monterrey por el acordeón, por la cumbia rebajada y pues también por la mezcla de los sonidos, pues ritmos europeos que se tocan en la música norestense, ¿verdad? De aquí que le llaman, pues ahí por Texas le dicen música de conjunto, aquí le decimos farafara, que es lo mismo, el acordeón y bajo sexto. Y aquí ya cuando empezamos a hacer lo que es la cumbia, pues bueno, tenemos un poquito de aquí y de allá, y de ahí es donde nace el sonido, creo yo, auténtico de cumbia. Le dicen cumbia regia, ¿verdad? De aquí, que ya es mexicana, ¿verdad?
Accordion is cool here. In addition to playing, Jonathan has a studio where he currently has more than 70 students learning how to play, and he also does repairs and tune-ups on instruments. Jonathan is a cool accordion player, but no one had the aura of Celso Piña, who also was a huge fan of Rayados. Music and soccer are closely linked in Monterrey. While the Independencia, the neighborhood where Monterrey's cumbia style was born, is not for tourists who don't come with a friend, Piña's old house on the Cerro de la Campaña has been turned into a museum for visitors. You may want to call ahead though, it wasn't open when I visited, even though it was listed online that it was.
Aquí el maestro Celso Piña, como decía, era el pionero. Había ya también aquí otros grupos tropicales que se tocaban con teclados, sintetizadores, pero Celso fue el que se atrevió a tocar con acordeón, y también hubo otras agrupaciones y ahí en la Colonia Independencia, y pues ahí yo crecí escuchando todo eso, viéndolo, y pues ahí creo yo que es donde se hace toda esta conexión que te estaba comentando de por qué nosotros elegimos la cumbia.
You can also check Jonathan's social media to see when Cumbia con Loop is playing a live show where everyone's welcome to come and dance to the cumbia, which although it is spread worldwide, it's still unique, special to Monterrey.
Let's get Concaffeinated. At Tacos El Muerto, you're eating alongside the dead. At Continuum Cafe, you loom over them. I spotted this relatively new space when I was eating my tacos, and you knew I had to check it out. They're open from 8 to 8 in this nondescript building. Go all the way to the top floor. You have to take the stairs past the beauty salon, and then you'll find their Spartan but energizing space. They take their coffee seriously, and they have a number of matcha and other tea options, making this a great choice if you're looking to sit and do some work, or if you just want to contemplate your fate. I liked Continuum so much I went into their sister cafe, Taz Club in San Pedro. It's an unpretentious respite to the rest of the suburb. Samuel made me a latte while holding his buddy's bird as his buddy looked for another bird that had flown off. He claimed he'd never done that before, but it turned out too good for me to really believe him. I also liked Alchemy. They stay on theme by serving their iced drinks in unused, I hope, chemical beakers. They have a lot of breakfast and other food options here if you're looking to sit and have a bite. And I really like the vibe at Mala Hierba. There you're encouraged to pick up a brush and paint something while you sip your coffee. I'm not artistic at all, and while they have a couple house rules, they welcome everybody, even those of us who are better at making videos than making art, in their very laid-back, beautiful, kind of hidden garden space. And in the very center of Monterrey, there's Cafelito. It's a place that I visited on my first ever trip to the city, and I've been coming back every time since. It's not fancy or fussy, but maybe that's why I like it, and I always make a pit stop for pan and cafe. It's just a few blocks off the Macro Plaza, so it'll be pretty easy to add to your visit.
Well, this is the end of my journey, but it doesn't have to be the end of yours. There's a number of national parks, caves, and waterfalls to explore in the immediate surrounding area in Nuevo León. You could go out to Torreón in Coahuila. You could take a long drive south to San Luis Potosí, or you could engage in another favorite pastime of folks in Monterrey and head north to the outlets in McAllen to get some shopping done. Wherever your journey takes you, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Football Cities in Monterrey. See you at the stadium.